Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Cabbage Head Fanfics. Back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Was Vigilante called Instincts. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Izuku punched the old punching bag on the beach harder with each strike. You can't be a hero, they said. What you did was foolish, they said. Leave it to the professionals, they said. That's a load of nonsense, he shouted, pouring all his frustration into the bag. If it weren't for me, Kaken would have been in serious trouble while those so-called heroes just waited for a better one to show up. After hours of hitting the bag, Izuku had released all his pent-up anger. It had been a rough day. First, Kaken had burned his notebook to ashes, then he was attacked by a slime villain. After being rescued by All Might, the hero told him he couldn't become a hero without a quirk. To make matters worse, the slime villain escaped and captured Bakugo while the heroes stood by, waiting for someone with a better quirk to arrive. What they didn't realize was that by the time that hero showed up, Bakugo could have been in grave danger. So, Izuku rushed to save Bakugo. While he didn't manage to save him completely, he did buy Bakugo some time to breathe. All Might eventually came to the rescue, but while Bakugo received praise, Izuku faced a stern lecture from the heroes. So, yeah, it had been a terrible day. However, Izuku had experienced many bad days. If it weren't for an extra joint in his toe, doctors would have assumed he had a luck quirk, given the accidents he had survived that should have been fatal. Yet, somehow, he always managed to pull through. I guess it might be time to face facts. Without a quirk, I can't be a hero, Izuku said aloud. Just then, a massive explosion echoed in the distance. Instinctively, he ran toward the sound. From Izuku's perspective, why was he running toward an explosion? He had just told himself he was done trying to be a hero. When he arrived at the site of the explosion, he saw destroyed buildings, overturned cars, and a structure engulfed in flames. People were pouring out, and he rushed over to a man struggling to walk. As the man began to fall, Izuku caught him. Is anyone trapped inside? He asked urgently. The top 2 floors got hit pretty hard. I think people are stuck up there, the man replied weakly. Get yourself somewhere safe, Izuku instructed. Wait, kid, what are you going to do? You don't look like a hero, the man questioned. You're right, I'm not a hero. I don't even have a quirk, but I'm not just going to stand around and watch people suffer. Izuku shouted as he dashed into the burning building. Covering his mouth to avoid inhaling too much smoke, he made his way up the surprisingly intact stairs. Reaching the 3rd floor, he began calling out for anyone who might need help. He could hear cries for assistance all around him. Quickly, he began to help everyone he could, whether it was kicking down doors to free people, lifting rubble for others to escape, or carrying those who couldn't walk out of the building. As he emerged from the building carrying 2 people, he noticed a group of onlookers, some even filming him. He set the rescued individuals down and sprinted back inside to check the top floor. Upon re-entering, a chunk of debris fell from above. He narrowly dodged it, but worry crept in. Would he be able to save those still trapped on the top floor? Time skip. He dashed out of the building as it continued to crumble, carrying 3 people to safety. He ran back in for one last check, determined not to leave anyone behind. Is anyone still up here? He yelled. Please help me, a voice cried out. It sounded like a child. He ran toward the sound but hesitated at the end of the hallway, unsure of which room to check. Come on, kid, keep talking to me, he shouted. I'm in here, the child replied. Izuku looked to his left and charged at the door, which broke off its hinges upon impact. He rushed to the source of the scream and found a small boy with black hair trapped under a wooden pillar. With all his strength, he lifted the pillar just enough for the boy to crawl out. Can you walk? Izuku asked. I think so, the child responded. Hearing more of the building begin to collapse, Izuku picked up the boy and sprinted for the exit. Once outside, he noticed a bright blue glow overhead. Looking up, he saw a massive ball of energy hurtling toward him. It was too large for him to outrun. Thinking quickly, he made a decision. Save the boy. Once you land, run, he shouted, mustering all his strength to throw the boy as far as he could. The boy landed safely and took off toward the group of people Izuku had rescued. As he glanced back, he saw the energy ball strike Izuku. Third-person perspective. The ball of energy crashed down on Izuku. He felt an overwhelming pain and screamed, but no sound escaped his lips. The blue light around him faded to black. Will this be what kills me? Izuku wondered as he floated in darkness, ready to accept his fate until he heard a voice. Please don't die, shouted the young boy he saved. You're my hero. Those words echoed in Izuku's mind. You're my hero. You're my hero. You're my hero. You're my hero. That's it. Even if I can't be a hero in everyone's eyes, I can still be one in the eyes of some. So I guess I can't die here, Izuku declared. With this realization, the darkness around him transformed into light. From the boy's perspective, I watched as the blue energy turned black, and then it exploded into a brilliant white light, sending a pillar of energy soaring into the sky and creating a massive shockwave. I shielded my eyes until the flash faded away. Once it was gone, I looked back at where the ball had struck and saw a massive crater. I feared the boy who saved me might have perished, but that thought quickly vanished when I spotted him standing in the center of the crater, looking different. His hair seemed to float slightly, as if a gentle breeze were blowing it, and an unusual aura surrounded him. He turned to face me and the rest of the group, his eyes now a striking silver. Izuku gazed at the group of people he had saved. They all looked at him in shock. He stood in the center of the crater, mesmerized by the aura enveloping his hands. What is this? Izuku wondered aloud, examining the blue and purple glow that surrounded him. I feel different. As he focused on his hands, he didn't notice the young boy he had rescued running toward him. Are you okay? The boy called out as he approached Izuku. I think so, Izuku replied. He shifted his gaze from his hands to the boy. The better question is, are you okay? Izuku asked. I'm fine because of you. You were so cool. You survived that attack like it was nothing. Did your quirk help you survive? Are you a hero? What hero are you? The child exclaimed. He's just like me when I was little, Izuku thought, a smile forming on his face. Sorry to burst your bubble, kid, but I'm no hero and I don't have a quirk. Honestly, it was just pure luck that I survived that attack, he said. Well, you're a hero in my eyes, the boy declared. Izuku's eyes widened. He was called a hero by someone who knew he was quirkless. But the surprises kept coming. You're our hero too, shouted a member of the crowd he had saved. If it wasn't for you, we would have perished, shouted a mother holding her 2 children. You risked your life to save us, even without a quirk. That makes you better than any hero, a man added. Izuku was taken aback. He was quirkless and not a pro-hero, yet these people were calling him a hero and cheering for him. After a few minutes of cheers, a thought crossed Izuku's mind. When the professional heroes arrived, they would likely scold him for doing something so reckless. He began to walk away from the building, the crowd's cheers fading until he was out of sight. As Izuku disappeared from view, the small boy he had saved thought to himself, I'm going to be just like you when I grow up, a smile spreading across his face. Scene change. Back to the shopping area. Izuku's point of view. I walked down the shopping center toward my house. As I strolled along the street, I noticed people looking at me strangely. I shrugged it off, assuming they were just curious about the aura surrounding me. I continued walking until I caught a glimpse of myself in a store window. I didn't just have a blue and purple aura around me. My hair was slightly lifted, and my green eyes had turned silver. What the heck? I muttered to myself. What is this? It can't be a quirk. Quirks never appear after the age of 4. So if it isn't a quirk, what on earth happened to me? I continued to stare at my reflection until the aura began to fade. Gradually, my hair returned to normal, and my eyes shifted back to green. I was more than a little confused. What had just happened? I knew it had changed something in me, but I couldn't figure out what. I'm too tired to worry about this right now, I said to myself. Rescuing people from a fire and nearly losing my life had taken a toll on me. Scene change. Outside Izuku's apartment. I was about to open the door to my apartment when a familiar voice stopped me. Izuku, how are you? I'm doing just fine, Aunt Mitsuki. How's Uncle Masaru? I asked, a genuine smile on my face. He's doing well. You know he'd love to see you again, Mitsuki replied. Sorry that I almost never visit, I said nervously. Don't worry, I understand. Living alone must be tough, but just know you can always come live with me and my family. Your mother was like a sister to me, and I see you as a second son, Mitsuki said, her voice tinged with sadness. I'll think about it. Anyway, it was great to see you, Aunt Mitsuki. Please tell Uncle Masaru I said hi, I said with a smile. Will do. See you, Izuku, Mitsuki said as she began to walk away. I wished I could live with her family. While Kaken could be a real his parents were the kindest people I had ever met. Aunt Mitsuki was like a mother to me, and Uncle Masaru felt like my dad. The only reason I hesitated to accept her offer was that Kaken lived there, and I didn't want them to worry about my quirkless situation. I walked into my house, plopped down on my bed, and quickly fell asleep. Next morning, third person, Izuku woke up to a knock on his door. Groggily, he got up and shuffled over to the door. Who could be at the door? School is off today, and it's only 8 in the morning. Izuku groaned. He gripped the doorknob and opened the door just enough to see who was knocking. Standing there was a tall man with black hair and tired eyes, wearing a scarf made of bandages. Hello, is Izuku Midoriya here? The man asked. That depends. Who's asking? Izuku replied. My name is Shoyuta Aizawa. I'm here on behalf of Yue. Is Izuku Midoriya here? He repeated. Yes, you're talking to him, Izuku said. Well, Yue wanted me to personally deliver this letter to you, Aizawa said. Oh, thank you, Izuku replied, taking the letter from Aizawa's hands. After a brief goodbye, Aizawa left. With Aizawa. As Aizawa walked down the street, he felt a twinge of sympathy for Izuku. The kid seems nice enough. It's a shame that letter is going to break his heart, Aizawa thought. As he continued walking, he passed by a TV store with a news broadcast playing in the window. Breaking news. Hearing that, Aizawa paused, wondering if it was about a villain attack. However, what he saw surprised him. Breaking news indeed. Yesterday afternoon, a battle raged on between All Might and the villain Living Energy. Their battle resulted in a massive explosion, and while All Might emerged victorious, he wasn't the only hero everyone was talking about, as the news reporter noted. Aizawa was taken aback. All Might was the sole hero confronting Living Energy, and even with other heroes present, All Might would have remained the focal point. Who is this other hero? That's right, Frank. The explosion we mentioned destroyed a significant portion of the city, and while most of the blast area was assessed, one building housing over 500 people was caught in the chaos. The top 2 floors suffered extensive damage. With no heroes in sight, many feared for their lives. However, one boy, who just happened to be passing by, took action. Shows a picture of Izuku. This child ran into the burning building and began rescuing people. He saved everyone trapped inside, which is estimated to be over 387 individuals. To make this even more remarkable, the young boy claimed he was quirkless. We asked some of the people he rescued for their thoughts on him, said a female news reporter. That kid is the definition of a hero. He ran into danger to save others without worrying about his own safety, said an elderly man. This just goes to show that you don't need a quirk to be a hero, and that kid is more than a hero in my book, added a man in his late 30s. If it wasn't for that boy, my family and I wouldn't be here right now, said a mother holding her 2 children. He saved me when no one else could. He's a hero, and I want to be just like him when I grow up, said a small child with black hair. Even All Might had a few things to say about the young man. The young boy did. Something incredible, and the fact he's quirkless only impresses me more. However, while I commend his actions, I must say it was extremely reckless, said All Might. Well, you heard it here first, folks. A quirkless boy saves the day and even receives praise from All Might himself. To say Aizawa was shocked was an understatement. He couldn't believe it. This broke his heart. If Yue had just waited one more day, this boy's dreams might still be within reach. At Bakuga's house. What was that kid thinking? And how can they call a quirkless person a hero? Bakugo shouted, his frustration evident. Can't you just be happy for once in your life? Mitsuki yelled back. Please calm down, you two, Masaru pleaded. Bakugo stood up from the couch and headed for the door. I'm going out, he shouted. With Izuku. Izuku sat on his couch, unaware of his news appearance. He had never liked the news. He glanced at the note Aizawa had left him. So, Yue sent someone to give me this letter. I wonder what it's about. Izuku mused. He opened the letter and began to read. Dear Izuku Midoriya, my name is Nizu. I'm the principal of UA, and I have some unfortunate news. I've read your application letter, and while your determination to become a hero is admirable, I must inform you that someone without a quirk cannot be accepted into the hero department of UA, regardless of their performance on the entrance exam. However, you can still apply for the general department, which is more suited for students without a strong quirk or any quirk at all. There was more in the letter, but Izuku stopped reading and tore the paper into pieces. Frustrated, he punched the wall, leaving a dent. Quirks this, quirks that. That's all this world cares about. Izuku shouted as he withdrew his fist from the wall. I need to get out of this room before I lose it, he said as he exited. End of Chapter 2. Next time, test run. Izuku meets old friends and finds himself in trouble with a street gang. His powers activate again, and Izuku decides to use the street thugs to test out his new abilities. Chapter end. Izuku walked down the street, angrier than he had ever been. He was tired of hearing how he couldn't do something because he lacked a quirk. Why should it matter if I don't have some fancy power? So what if I'm not super strong? So what if I can't grow to the size of a skyscraper? And so what if I can't create explosions? Izuku thought to himself. I should still be given a chance to become a hero, but no, I'm treated like a helpless child just because I lack a quirk. Izuku continued walking until he encountered the last person he wanted to see. He heard fast footsteps behind him but thought it was just some kids or someone running late. It wasn't until he heard a familiar voice that haunted his childhood. Do you? Great, Izuku muttered under his breath. He turned around to see Bakugo charging at him with his fist raised. Izuku didn't have time to dodge, so he braced himself for the hit. However, something unexpected happened. In an instant, Izuku's blue and purple aura returned. His eyes turned silver, and his hair began to lift slightly. He watched as his body moved on its own, dodging Bakugo's punch. Once Izuku evaded the attack, he returned to normal. Bakugo didn't even get a chance to notice the aura. Kaken, I'm not in the mood for this today, Izuku said flatly. Too bad, Deku, because you really ticked me off. What were you thinking, letting people call your quirkless self a hero? Bakugo shouted. What are you talking about? Izuku asked. Don't play dumb. What you did yesterday was all over the news. It really got under my skin. People are calling your useless self a hero, a kid saying he wants to be like you, and even getting a compliment from All Might himself, Bakugo snarled. A compliment from All Might? Well, isn't that surprising, Izuku replied. You're quirkless. You're just a pebble in my path. No one should be calling you a hero. Bakugo yelled. Kaken, will you please just be quiet? I don't care about your superiority complex. Plus, your dream of being the only kid from our school to get into UA isn't in danger anymore. I've been turned down from the school because I don't have a quirk, Izuku said as he began to walk away. Ha, what have I been telling you, Deku? You're quirkless and therefore useless. I've told you dozens of times you can't be a hero, and now you finally understand, Bakugo laughed. Shut up, Bakugo, Izuku said through gritted teeth. Bakugo didn't hear him. You know, if you want to be a hero, there is one way you can get a quirk. Just jump off the tallest building you can find and hope you get a quirk in the next life, Bakugo continued. I said shut up. Izuku shouted as he turned around and threw a punch at Bakugo. The impact sent Bakugo crashing into a wall. Normally, Izuku would have helped, but given Bakugo's attitude, he just walked away. Izuku looked down at his fist, which was smoking slightly. That's new. Guess all that training is finally paying off. Not that it matters. I can't become a hero no matter how hard I try. Punching Bakugo had calmed Izuku down, so he decided to head home. He was taking his usual route when he noticed an alleyway that could cut his walk in half. Without thinking much of it, he walked down the alley. He stopped when he heard a voice. "Give us everything you've got," someone said. "And those shoes," another voice added. "Look, I'm in somewhat of a good mood. So I'll give you one chance to just walk away," Izuku said. He could defend himself, but if these people had strong quirks, they could easily overpower him. "Forget it. We'll just take what we want," the person who wanted Izuku's shoes said. Suddenly, a gunshot echoed through the alley. Izuku dodged the bullet, and the thugs stared at him in shock. A blue and purple aura surrounded him, his hair slightly lifting, and his eyes gleamed silver. "So that's what you do," Izuku said, looking at his hands. "You let my body dodge attacks without me telling it to." A smile spread across his face as he turned to face his muggers. "Let's see what you can handle." The robbers realized they had made a grave mistake. Izuku began to walk toward them slowly. The robber with the gun fired 5 bullets, but Izuku's body effortlessly evaded each one as he continued to advance. In a flash, Izuku charged and appeared in front of the gunman, delivering a powerful punch that sent him flying. He quickly followed up by appearing behind the robber and kicking him in the back. Then he reappeared in front of the gunman again, grabbing him and slamming his face into the ground. "So along with dodging, this power also boosts all my abilities to superhuman levels," Izuku remarked. He then executed a backflip to avoid a slash from the other robber, who had transformed his arm into a blade. As Izuku landed, the robber continued to swing at him, but Izuku's body kept dodging the attacks. "With a body that moves on its own, I can focus more on attacking," Izuku thought. The robber slashed again, and as Izuku dodged, he countered with an uppercut, followed by a kick that sent the robber crashing through a wall, knocking him out cold. As the fight ended, Izuku returned to normal. "So you activate whenever I get into a fight and deactivate once it's over. That's not really a problem. You activate in less than a second," Izuku said to himself. "It's been a long day, I need some rest," he said as he began to walk home. But rest wasn't the only thing on his mind. With this power, he could be more than just a quirkless Deku. He could help others. The only question was how. Yue wasn't going to accept him into the hero department, so how could he help people if he couldn't become a pro hero? The next morning, Izuku went straight to his computer. He opened it and was greeted by his old All Might background. "Yeah, before I do anything I'm changing this," he said. He switched his background to his favorite anime growing up, Bleach. "Much better. Now back to what I was doing," he said as he typed "quirkless heroes" into the search engine. As he hit search, the results were filled with interviews where heroes were asked if someone without a quirk could be a hero. Every hero answered the same: no, they couldn't. As Izuku reached page 5 of the search, he was about to give up when something caught his eye. Vigilantes, heroes or villains? Vigilante. That could work. I'd still be helping people, and some would see me as a hero. Sure, some might see me as a villain, and the cops and heroes would try to arrest me, but whatever, Izuku said as he turned off his computer. He got up from his desk and walked over to his dresser, looking at a picture of himself and his mom. "Hey, I have something to tell you. Instead of becoming a hero, I'll be a vigilante." "Wait, before you freak out, just hear me out. I have the power to become a hero, but it's not a quirk, and because of that, no hero school will accept me," Izuku explained. "However, I know I can help people in a way heroes can't. I can save people and prevent what happened to you from happening to others." There was silence for a few seconds. "Thanks, Mo. I knew you'd understand, and yes, I promise to be safe." "Love you, Mom," Izuku said with a smile. 2 weeks later, Izuku had been preparing for 2 weeks for his first day as a vigilante. First, he needed a name for the power he had somehow obtained. After much thought, he settled on calling it Ultra Instincts, since his body would dodge attacks even if he couldn't see them. Next, he designed a simple costume. Since his body would dodge attacks, he didn't add much protection. The only thing he included for a reason was a blndfld. He could see through it, and it would negate quirks that required direct eye contact to work. Izuku had been attending school like normal, but things felt different. Bakugo had been accepted into UA, so Izuku hadn't seen him, and school was surprisingly peaceful without the usual troublemaker. I still can't believe you let someone like Bakugo in. It just shows how unfair quirks can be in life, but I'm going to change that. I'll prove that it's not the quirk that makes the hero, it's their actions, Izuku declared. Mom, I'm doing this for you. As he donned his costume, Izuku transformed. When I'm in this outfit, Izuku Midoriya is no more. For all the villains that cross my path, you will know me as Instincts, he said, tying a beeful around his face. Izuku left his apartment and began leaping from rooftop to rooftop. Throughout the day, he thwarted 3 petty thefts, 2 muggings, and 1 attempted murder. It was all fairly easy. He didn't even need to rely on his ultra instincts for the thefts, dealt with the muggings in under a minute, and knocked out the would-be murderer with a single blow. Wow, so far today's crime is pretty dull. Not that the crime itself is boring, but the criminals are, Izuku mused as he continued his rooftop journey. He checked his watch. It was now 5 p.m. Just as he was about to head home, he overheard something that demanded his attention. Wow, we scored some hot ones today. We sure did. The hero types are so easy to fool. Peering over the edge of the house he was on, Izuku spotted 4 men surrounding 3 young girls on the ground. One girl had brown hair and brown eyes, another resembled a frog with green hair and black eyes, and the last had a black spiky ponytail and black eyes. Ribbit. I can't move my body, said the frog girl. I can't either, the brown-haired girl replied. You monsters. What did you do to us? The ponytail girl demanded. Simple, I used my quirk, said a man with spiky yellow hair, red eyes, and a lip ring. My quirk lets me paralyze anyone I make direct eye contact with for 45 minutes, and trust me, that's all the time we need. Come on, we're wasting time. Let's get on with the fun, said a hefty man with little hair and blue eyes. Not on my watch, you sick individuals. Izuku shouted as he leaped off the roof toward the hefty man, who was reaching for the ponytail girl's shoulder. Izuku landed on the man, sending him crashing to the ground and creating a cloud of dust. His ultra instincts kicked in as he picked the man up by the head and slammed his face back into the ground, rendering him unconscious. What the hell was that? Asked a man with green skin. Scum like you make me sick. Preying on young girls for your own twisted desires? I'm going to enjoy taking you down, Izuku declared as he stepped out of the dust cloud, cracking his knuckles. Who the hell are you? Wait, it doesn't matter, you're going to die soon anyway. Get him, boys? Shouted the man with the lip ring. You got it, boss, replied the green-skinned man and another man with holes in his palms. From Izuku's perspective, the 2 attackers charged at him. The green-skinned man transformed his arm into a claw and attempted to slash at Izuku's chest, but he dodged effortlessly. Izuku retaliated with a swift kick to the man's face, forcing him back. He then caught a chain that was swung at him. So you can catch attacks as well as block them. Impressive, he thought to himself. He yanked the chain toward him, revealing that the man with the holes in his palms could shoot chains from them. As the man closed in, Izuku punched him squarely in the face, sending him crashing into a wall. He then backflipped over the lizard man, who tried to stab him with his claws. Izuku unleashed a flurry of kicks into the lizard man's back before delivering a final kick that sent him face-first into the ground. As he landed, he caught 2 chains in his arms. Really? You're trying this again? He asked, pulling the chain man close. When he was close enough, Izuku delivered a powerful headbutt, slamming him into the ground. He then swung the chain he still held and planted the man firmly into the earth. With all 3 men knocked out, Izuku turned his attention to the group's leader, who had taken a few steps back. Since his eyes were covered, the man's quirk was rendered useless. Wait, if you let me and my boys go, you can have those girls all to yourself, he pleaded in a panic. First, you attempt to harm 3 young girls, then you try to kill me, and now you think you can bargain with me? Izuku shouted as he charged at the man with the lip ring. In less than a second, he was right in front of him. The man's face was filled with fear as Izuku pulled back his fist and delivered a devastating punch that sent the man flying through a brick wall, knocking him out cold. Ribbit, I can move again, said the frog girl. Me too, but how? It hasn't been anywhere near 45 minutes, said the brown-haired girl. His quirk must lose its effect if the user is knocked out, the ponytail girl concluded. Knowing the girls could move again, Izuku began to walk away, confident they would call for help. "Wait!" shouted the brown-haired girl. He turned around to see all the girls staring at him. "Thank you for saving us," said the brown-haired girl. "Ribbit." "Thank you," the frog girl added. "You have my gratitude as well," said the ponytail girl. "No problem," Izuku replied, about to walk away again when the ponytail girl asked another question. "Who are you? Are you a hero? Because if so, I haven't seen you before." "You can call me Instincts, and it's up to you to decide what I am," he said. "Ribbit, what do you mean by that?" asked the frog girl. "As time goes on, people will call me many things. A hero, a villain with morals, or just a villain. However, I prefer the term Vigilante," I said, and the girls looked at me with shock. "Make sure to call the police so these criminals can get arrested. And please, get home safely." With that, I leaped back onto the rooftops and began my journey home. The girls called the police, who arrested the men. As the officers questioned them, they recounted everything, including the part about the young boy who had saved them. The police remarked on how fortunate they were that he had shown up, but advised them to report him if they saw him again. "Wait, why should we report him?" "He saved us," Uraraka asked. "You mentioned he called himself a vigilante. While they can do good, they still break the law by using their quirks and acting as heroes without a license. I can't force you to report him, but as aspiring heroes, you should consider it, even though he saved your lives," the officer explained. After a lengthy discussion, the officer let the girls go. As they walked home, one thought lingered in their minds. "I don't care what they say. If I see Instincts again, I'm not turning him in." "At you?" Mina shouted. "Uraraka? Tsuyu, Momo. Are you okay?" "Yeah, we heard what happened. Are you all alright?" Ida asked. "Yeah, something like that can really affect someone. Are you sure you're okay, both emotionally and physically?" Todoroki inquired. "We're fine. Those criminals didn't even touch us," Momo replied. "That's a relief," Jiru sighed. "Yeah, we were saved at the last minute by Instincts," Uraraka said. "Who?" Almost everyone in Class 1A, except Bakugo, asked. "Ribbit." "Instincts was the one who saved us," Tsuyu explained. "Is he a hero? Because if he is, I've never heard of him," Toru wondered. "Well, not exactly. He said he's a vigilante, but he saved Momo, Tsuyu, and me, so that makes him cool in my book," Uraraka said. "A vigilante. They walk a fine line between hero and villain. I usually don't care much for them, but this one seems to be on the right side. However, if I meet him one day, it will be as an enemy. Vigilantes still break the law, and as a hero, I must bring him to justice," Ida stated. As Ida continued to discuss how a vigilante is not a hero, Mina asked the important question. "So, what did this Instincts look like? Is he attractive?" Mina inquired. "Well, he's fairly good-looking," Momo admitted. "Wow, Momo, I didn't know you liked older guys," Mineta teased, only to be swiftly silenced by Tsuyu's frog tongue. "Ribbit, Instincts is actually around the same age as us. If I had to guess, he's either a year older, younger, or the same age as us," Tsuyu clarified. "He's the same age as us and he's doing vigilante work?" Todoroki asked. "Yeah. You should have seen him. He wore a really cool suit with a BLNDFLD, his black hair slightly tousled like Mr. Aizawa's, and he had this amazing blue and purple aura around him. His quirk seems to be some form of evasion since he dodged every attack those villains threw at him," Uraraka explained excitedly. As the three girls shared more about Instincts, Bakugo pondered something. "Blue and purple aura. I feel like I've seen that before," he thought. Meanwhile, Izuku had just finished confronting a mugger, slamming him against a wall. As the man fell unconscious, Izuku turned to the woman he had saved. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Yes, thank you," she replied. "Stay safe," he said, leaping back onto the rooftops. As he ran, he noticed a boy with dark blue hair and glasses sprinting out of a building called the USJ, heading toward UA. "That can't be good," Izuku muttered, jumping to the roof of the USJ. He spotted a small window and peered through, seeing a large group of villains alongside a group of children and 2 adults none other than the students of Class 1A. He even recognized the girls he had saved the day before. So these villains think they can just threaten kids. Well, that's not going to happen, Izuku declared, jumping through the window. As the sound of breaking glass echoed through the USJ, the villains looked up in surprise. Some students were concerned, thinking it might be another villain, but Tsuyu, Uraraka, and Momo looked up and felt a surge of hope upon seeing Izuku. As I landed, a cloud of dust surrounded me. I waved my hand through the air, creating a gust of wind that cleared the dust away. "Who the hell are you?" shouted a villain covered in hands. "I am the vigilante known as Instincts, and I will not let you harm these kids," I declared. "And how are you going to stop us?" "It's you against an army," the hand villain sneered. "It doesn't matter how I do it. Just know that I will," I replied, my voice steady. "What are you waiting for? Kill this brat," the hand villain ordered his underlings. As the small army of villains prepared for battle, one thought crossed my mind. Looks like it's time to show them what I'm made of. I began to walk toward the villains, who gripped their weapons tighter, readying their quirks. Suddenly, I broke into a sprint. My aura flared, sending my hair up and turning my eyes silver. Seeing this, the villains charged at me. I dashed into the crowd of villains, dodging every attack they threw my way and countering with my own strikes. It didn't matter what they attempted, I was ready for them. I dodged all the projectiles their quirks launched at me, evading every punch and slash aimed my way. With each successful dodge, I sent another villain flying. As I fought, I caught glimpses of the kids and adults I was saving. All but one of the children looked at me in awe. The 2 adults were poised for action, and then there was Bakugo, who glared at me with fury. I could tell he didn't recognize me, as my hair was standing up, concealing my green highlights. Eventually, I managed to knock out all the villains, pinning one to the ground. "Please. I'm just doing this for the money, I wasn't going to hurt anyone," the villain pleaded. "Sorry, I have no sympathy left," I replied, pressing him down firmly. As I stood, I narrowly dodged an attack from a villain with hands all over his body. He wasn't trying to punch me, he was attempting to grab me. His quirk must activate through touch. I need to make sure he can't touch me, I thought to myself. I retaliated by striking his arm with all my strength, breaking it. The villain screamed in pain, but I wasn't finished. I rushed to his other arm and twisted it until I heard a sickening sound. A black mist began to swirl beneath us, and I jumped away, letting the villain get pulled into it. I noticed the hand villain reappear next to the misty figure. "Nomu, take him out now," he shouted. Just then, a muscular villain with his brain exposed charged at me. As he swung, I dodged and delivered a powerful punch to his stomach. He didn't flinch and tried to hit me again, but I jumped back to avoid the attack. "You're not beating any kid. He's designed to take down All Might, and his quirk absorbs shock, so he'll just tank your punches. You'll make a mistake eventually, and when you do, you're done," the hand villain yelled. "Made to beat All Might? This just got interesting," I muttered to myself. Meanwhile, the students were watching from a distance. "Did he say that brain guy is made to kill All Might?" Kirishima asked. "That's what I heard," Siro replied. "Will instincts be enough to take that thing down?" Tsuyu wondered. "I don't know," Momo admitted. Bakugo was deep in thought. What is this guy? He's my age and not even trying to be a hero. Does he think he's better than me? 13. Be ready to move in if this instincts guy can't handle that brain villain, Aizawa instructed. Understood, 13 responded. From my perspective, as I continued to dodge attacks, I managed to land a few hits. "You're dead, kid. You can't beat Nomu," the hand villain shouted. "Do you ever stop talking? You said this thing's quirk absorbs shock, not nullifies it." "There's a limit to how much it can take," I replied, my determination rising. "Let's see how long it takes me to reach that limit." As the Nomu threw another punch, I leaped back onto a wall and launched myself at it. I unleashed everything I had in a flurry of punches, each one fueled by my full power. It didn't take long before I overloaded the Nomu's quirk. With one final punch, I sent the Nomu crashing through a wall. What were you saying about that thing being able to kill All Might? If it couldn't beat me, what makes you think it can take him down? I challenged. You brat, the hand villain snarled. Kurogiri, we're leaving. The mist villain, Kurogiri, enveloped the hand villain and teleported away. Note to self, next time, take out the mist guy first so they can't escape, I thought. Realizing the child I saw running out of the building likely wanted to regroup, I decided it was best to leave before the heroes arrived. As I walked toward the hole in the wall, I heard a familiar voice. Have no fear, for I am here. All Might shouted. Too late, All Might. I already did your job for you, I thought, continuing my walk away from the USJ to resume my patrol. Ida returned with several pro heroes. However, when they entered the USJ, they found that all the villains had already been dealt with. Aizawa, 13, did you do all this? Nizu asked. No, we didn't, 13 replied. Then who did? Midnight inquired. Some vigilante going by the name Instincts, Aizawa explained. Is this Instinct still here? Nizu asked. No, he left, Aizawa confirmed. As the teachers continued their discussion, the students of Class 1A began to chatter among themselves. So that was Instincts, Todoroki remarked. You were right, Momo, he is impressive, Mina added. How did he get here so quickly? Tokoyami wondered. He must have seen Ida running out and decided to check it out, Uraraka suggested. He was so cool. His quirk is amazing, he dodged everything those villains threw at him, Toru exclaimed. He was a bit brutal, Siro noted. Well, yeah, but Bakugo is just as intense and he's kind of cool, Kirishima replied. What did you say about me, weird hair? Bakugo shouted. I still can't believe how young he is. I really don't understand why he isn't trying to become a hero. With that quirk, he could easily succeed, Ojiro said. I thought the same thing. With his abilities, he could be a hero, but he chose to be a vigilante instead, Momo added. This guy is getting praised by all the girls, Mineta grumbled. Tsuyu promptly slapped Mineta with her hand. Well, we might not know why Instincts became a vigilante, but at least he's on our side, she said. The teachers soon gathered the students and directed them to the bus. Meanwhile, Izuku jumped from rooftop to rooftop, reflecting on the day's events. Well, that was fun. However, I'll need to be more careful outside from now on. Without a doubt, if the press doesn't expose my existence to the world, then the staff at UDA will inform all the pro heroes about me, Izuku thought with a sigh. Well, at least the upcoming days will be more interesting. As Izuku continued his patrol into the night, he noticed a surprising lack of crime. He didn't think much of it considering the recent villain attack. Doesn't look like anything is happening tonight. I might as well head home, he said. Just as he began to make his way back, he heard a commotion. Peering over the ledge of the building, he spotted two individuals. A man in a suit and a street thug with long, spiky black hair. This drag will greatly enhance your quirk, said the man in the suit. I've heard good things about this drag. Our boss might be against it, but what she doesn't know won't hurt her, replied the thug. Drags? This feels like something out of a crime drama. I should intervene, Izuku sighed. He was about to jump down when he noticed a man running toward the two-knuckle duster. The adult male punched the man in the suit and then spun around to deliver an uppercut to the thug. My favorite kind of problem, one that resolves itself, Izuku said to himself as he settled onto the rooftop, eager to see how this would unfold. Moments later, a teenage boy in an All Might hoodie arrived, moving swiftly across the ground on all fours. The crawler. Master, you need to stop running ahead, said the crawler. You were too slow, Knuckle Duster replied, confused. Hey, we have an audience. Popstep called, pointing up at Izuku. Who are you? Asked the crawler. I know these people. They're vigilantes like me. There's a fan page dedicated to each of them. The old man is Knuckle Duster, the kid in the All Might hoodie is the crawler, and the girl is Popstep, Izuku thought. Don't worry about who I am. I'm not here to fight you. I'm just watching the show, and that guy in the suit is getting back up, Izuku said flatly, gesturing toward the man in the suit. The man in the suit stood up and, without a word, injected himself with a needle containing the unknown drag. Almost immediately his body began to grow, his skin turning pitch black as he sprouted 2 additional arms. Izuku stood, realizing he would need to step in. So much for the problem resolving itself, he sighed. The massive villain swung one of his arms, creating a powerful gust of wind. Izuku and the other vigilantes jumped back. Regaining his footing, Izuku leaped at the villain, flying through the air to deliver a punch right to the villain's nose. As he landed, he saw Knuckle Duster swing in on a grappling hook, landing a kick to the villain's face. "Huh, I like this old man," Izuku thought. Knuckle Duster swung away, but the villain retaliated by smashing buildings, sending debris crashing into the streets. Izuku used his enhanced speed to clear the rubble before it could harm anyone. Although he was fast, he couldn't stop all of it. Fortunately, Crawler and Popstep were there to save the people he couldn't reach. He watched as Knuckle Duster landed another successful kick before being swatted away by the enormous villain. These guys are impressive. They're saving lives and battling a giant monster while the pro heroes are nowhere to be found. If you ask me, they're the real heroes, Izuku thought. He turned back to the villain, who was destroying yet another building. If this continued, there wouldn't be anything left of the city. Okay, he definitely has a transformation-type quirk. If I can knock him unconscious, that should revert him back to normal or at least stop his rampage long enough for the pros to arrive and restrain him, Izuku contemplated as he watched the villain swing his arm, demolishing more of the already damaged building. Seizing the opportunity, Izuku began jumping on the rubble to reach the villain's face. As he did, the villain attempted to punch him, but Izuku nimbly dodged and landed on the villain's arm. He sprinted up the arm toward the villain's face. The villain tried to swat him away, but Izuku evaded every attempt. Soon he was near the villain's face. Launching himself into the air, he focused all his strength into a knee strike. The impact connected with the villain's face, creating a small shockwave. The villain staggered and fell to the ground. Izuku landed on the villain's chest and heard cheers from the crowd. Turning around, he saw heroes Mount Lady and Kamui would approaching the fallen villain. What is it with me doing the hero's job for them? Izuku mused as he jumped onto a rooftop and moved away from the area. A few minutes later, Izuku watched from a rooftop as the heroes loaded the man who had transformed into the giant monster into an armored truck. "That was some fine work there, kid," said Knuckle Duster. Izuku turned to see the 3 vigilantes who had assisted him. "You all did well too. Honestly, if you hadn't been there, many lives could have been lost," Izuku remarked, glancing back at the crime scene. He noticed Mount Lady and Kamui would receiving all the credit, which frustrated him. It wasn't because he and the other vigilantes had done most of the work, it was because those 2 hadn't done anything, and by the time they arrived, dozens could have perished. Yet, they would be praised instead of held accountable for their lack of action. "We make a good team," said Crawler. "Yeah, I guess we do," Izuku replied, still focused on the crime scene. "If you ever need our help, just come find us. We'll be more than willing to assist you," Knuckle Duster offered. "I might just take you up on that," Izuku said with a slight smile. "Well, we better get out of here before the pros start searching the area," Popstep said. Knuckle Duster and Crawler nodded. They bid farewell to Izuku before leaping from rooftop to rooftop. A minute later, Izuku left as well. Meanwhile, the teachers at Uta stood in shock as they watched footage of Instinct defeating a small army of villains, all without taking a single hit. As the teachers watched, All Might and Eraserhead couldn't help but think the Vigilante looked familiar. "Wow, this kid is amazing," said Midnight in amazement. "I wonder why he became a Vigilante and not a hero?" asked Snipe. "He probably didn't want to wait to help people," Eraserhead chimed in. "I see a spark in his eyes," said Nizu. "Principal Nizu, his eyes are covered," replied Ectoplasm. As the heroes continued to talk, All Might focused on the young Vigilante. "Where have I seen him before?" All Might wondered to himself. It had been a week since the attack on the USJ, and Izuku was relaxing at home, flipping through TV stations. "Of course, the one day I decide to take off is the day there's nothing good to watch," Izuku sighed. "Taking the day off is overrated anyway. Guess I'll get back to what I do best." He started to walk toward his room where his costume was, but before he could reach the closet, he heard the doorbell ring. Who could that be? Thought Izuku as he walked toward the door. Upon opening it, he saw his aunt and uncle. Izuku, it's good to see you. Get dressed. We're going to the sports festival at UA, said Mitsuki. I'm guessing I don't get a say in this, do I? Izuku asked, already knowing the answer. Of course not. I already bought the tickets, Mitsuki said happily. Sorry, Izuku. I tried to stop her, Masaru quietly said. Don't worry about it, Uncle Masaru. It'll be fun to hang out with you too. Just give me a moment to get dressed in something more suitable, Izuku replied. Okay, we'll wait in the car, but if you make us wait too long, I'll come in there and drag you out whether you're dressed or not, Mitsuki warned as she and Masaru walked to their car. Izuku closed the door and headed to his room. He first put on his costume, then added sweatpants and a sweatshirt over it, tucking his BLNDFLD into his pocket. Walking out of his apartment and locking the door behind him, Izuku made his way to the car. Once inside, his aunt began driving. So, Izuku, how's life been treating you? Asked Mitsuki. I'm going to guess not very well in the sleep department. You're starting to form bags under your eyes, Masaru said, earning a slight chuckle from his wife and Izuku. Well, life is good. My job has me on more night shifts, so a full 6 hours of sleep is rare, Izuku replied. The three continued to chat, but Izuku felt guilty about lying to his aunt and uncle. They were like his parents, and he felt terrible every time he had to deceive them. Soon, they arrived at the sports festival stadium. They all went inside and took their seats. Once settled, Izuku took out his notebook and pen. He knew that these young heroes would one day become his adversaries, so taking notes about their quirks now would save him trouble later. As a class called Class 1A stepped out into the arena, Izuku recognized it as the same class he had saved during the USJ attack. Why does fate want me to keep meeting these kids? Izuku wondered. Bakugo scanned the stadium and spotted his parents, but his gaze quickly landed on Izuku, glaring at him with intensity. Really? He still hates me, Izuku said, a bit annoyed. If he wants to become a hero, he needs to get rid of that superiority complex. Maybe instincts can help him with that, he thought with a smirk. All right, everyone. All the classes are on the field, so let's get this party started. Now, everyone, a special heroine will announce the coming events, shouted a hero that Izuku instantly recognized as Present Mike. As the crowd looked down, they saw the popular heroine Midnight. The men began to admire her, with the exceptions of Izuku and Masaru. The reason was clear. If Masaru even glanced at Midnight the wrong way, Mitsuki would likely have a strong reaction, and Izuku had his own preferences. I don't know what everyone is looking at. Mount Lady is way cooler, Izuku thought as he prepared to take notes. During the sports festival, everything remained the same, except for Izuku being replaced by Tsuyu. In the fight between Shinso and Tsuyu, Shinso won but was soon overwhelmed by Todoroki. From Izuku's perspective, he watched as Bakugo defeated the ice boy named Todoroki. As the smoke cleared, Todoroki lay unconscious atop his own ice. Midnight announced Bakugo as the winner, and while everyone cheered, Izuku noticed something unusual, a flicker of fire surrounding the left side of Todoroki's body. That ice kid is holding back something about his quirk, he thought. As Bakugo basked in the glory of his victory, Izuku noticed a black mist beginning to form behind him. Soon, others noticed it too, and the crowd fell silent. When the mist grew larger, multiple nomas crawled out, but they were different from the ones at the US. Some were big and bulky, while others had wings, extra arms, and other strange features. One Nomu lunged at Bakugo, who dodged and ran toward the still unconscious Todoroki. Realizing that the nomas weren't part of the sports festival, panic spread through the crowd as people rushed toward the exits. While everyone fled, Izuku searched for a place to change. Masaru. Where's Izuku? Mitsuki asked in a panic. He probably got swept up in the crowd. Now come on, Mitsuki, we have to get out of here. Masaru yelled, dragging her toward the exit. Please be okay, Izuku, he thought, anxiety creeping in. Inside the arena, Bakugo picked up the still unconscious Todoroki and ran for the exit. Midnight attempted to hold off the nomas, but her sleeping gas had no effect. She would have been in serious trouble if Endeavor hadn't jumped into the ring and rescued her. The other students tried to control the crowd and direct them toward the exits. Just then, a particularly large Nomu jumped in front of Tsuyu, its fist raised high. Tsuyu closed her eyes, expecting the worst, but it never came. As she opened her eyes, she saw a familiar blue and purple aura. How come I always have to save the day when there are heroes around? Izuku asked as he punched the Nomu back into the arena. Izuku turned to the frog girl. You did well. Now get yourself to safety. I'll handle this, he said as he leaped into the arena, where 4 different Nomus awaited him. One had wings, another moved on all 4s, a third was incredibly muscular, and the last was a humanoid with 6 arms. As Izuku landed, he charged at the Nomus, who responded in kind. Is that? All Might asked. Yes, that's instincts, 13 replied. The professional heroes fell silent, eager to witness the power of instincts firsthand, having heard about it from Aizawa, and as the Nomus and Izuku charged at each other, his body instinctively dodged every attack they threw at him. He leaped over one Nomu, preparing to punch, but realized he was too far away. Just then, he felt something unusual in his hands. Looking down, he saw his aura forming a small ball of energy. Unsure of what to do, he moved his hand forward, releasing a beam of blue energy that sent the Nomu crashing into a wall. Okay, that's new, he muttered, examining his hands. I've had these powers for more than a week and I still don't fully understand them. As he jumped over the 6-armed Nomu, he delivered a powerful kick to its head, sending it crashing into the ground. Emerging from the crater, he spotted the muscular Nomu leaping toward him. The Nomu's fist transformed into spikes, but Izuku sidestepped the attack. He grabbed the unspiked arm and swung the muscular Nomu at the dog-like Nomu. As they collided midair, he focused on forming another energy ball and, to his surprise, succeeded. With his aura swirling in his hand, he threw the energy sphere at the Nomu, resulting in a massive explosion. When the smoke cleared, both Nomus lay unconscious. The last Nomu, the flying one, took a deep breath and unleashed a stream of fire. Izuku managed to backflip out of the way. As the Nomu prepared for another attack, he joined his hands together, watching as his aura formed a small blue ball that gradually grew larger. The Nomu, realizing another fire attack was coming, attempted to breathe fire again. After dodging, Izuku leaped toward the Nomu. However, the Nomu quickly turned and exhaled flames in his direction. Can I even dodge in midair? He wondered, fearing the flames would hit him. To his astonishment, his body moved instinctively, using the energy ball to propel himself through the fire toward the Nomu. Once close enough, he unleashed a massive energy beam, causing the Nomu to scream as it was blasted into the wall of the stadium. As he landed, he realized he had defeated all the Nomus. Spotting cameras focused on him, he thought, if the world knows I exist, I might as well share why. He raised his finger in the air, channeling a Gurren Lagann vibe. Listen well, people of the world. The heroes of today are flawed, corrupted by fame and money. Heroes should help others simply to help. Those true heroes are long gone. I don't claim to be a hero, but I am not a villain either. Where today's heroes fail, I will succeed. I may not be the hero everyone wants, but I will be the hero you deserve. I promise that, or my name isn't Instincts. Lowering his hand, he surveyed the shocked faces of the heroes around him. Tensing his legs, he jumped out of the stadium, realizing he had unintentionally destroyed it. I've been neglecting my training because of my powers, but it's becoming harder to control them. If I want to keep these powers in check, I need to start training again, he thought as he soared through the air. Outside the sports festival stadium, police, ambulances, and heroes were working to calm the crowd. However, one blonde-haired woman was particularly frantic. Have you seen my godson? He has green and black messy hair and green eyes, Mitsuki asked a hero emerging from the stadium. We haven't found anyone matching that description, the hero replied. Mitsuki's panic grew. She knew her son was capable of protecting himself with his amazing quirk, but Izuku was quirkless and had no means of defense, at least, that's what she thought. Aunt Mitsuki, Uncle Masaru. Izuku shouted. Mitsuki and Masaru turned toward him and rushed to embrace him tightly. I was so worried about you. I know my son can take care of himself, but you've never been a fighter, Mitsuki said, holding Izuku close. After what felt like an eternity, they released each other and waited for Bakugo to emerge from the stadium. Izuku was reluctant to see Bakugo but still wanted to ensure his childhood friend was okay. After a few minutes, Bakugo finally appeared. Mitsuki and Masaru rushed to hug Bakugo, checking to see if he was alright. Seeing that Bakugo was fine, Izuku began to walk away. Deku! Bakugo called out. Izuku turned back. It's good to see you're okay, Bakugo, he replied. Bakugo looked at him, silent but feeling a strange shift since Izuku no longer called him Kaken. Well, I have work tomorrow. I'm glad you're alright, Bakugo. See you, Izuku said as he walked away. 3 weeks later, Izuku watched the news and saw that the hero Endeavor had captured the hero killer Stain. I didn't think someone like Stain would be caught by him, Izuku remarked as he put on his costume to go on patrol. He stepped out of his apartment and began jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Eventually, he stopped on a roof overlooking the entire city and began to reflect. The League of Villains. They used to be just a small-time group with enough audacity to try crazy things, but now they've become something more. They've gained followers and teamed up with the Yakuza. Even with my powers, I don't know if I'll be enough to stop them. They've attacked the students of UA 3 times now. Izuku shakes his head and continues searching for crime. From Tsuyu's point of view, after the incident during the field trip, all the students of UA have been given a few days off. I'm currently walking around the city looking for Instincts. I never got a chance to thank him for saving me at the sports festival. As I stroll through the city, I see a man who looks to be the same age as Mr. Aizawa walking out of an alleyway, looking a bit shaken. Hey, thanks, the man says as he walks away. I peer into the alleyway and see Instincts holding an unconscious mugger by his shirt collar. He drops the mugger to the ground and turns to me. Hello there. Is there something I can help you with? Instincts asks. Ribbit. Well, back at the sports festival, you saved my life again. I wanted to thank you, I say, feeling a strange warmth spread through me as my heart races. Why do I feel this way around him? No thanks needed. Just hurry up and become a hero. I can't save the day all by myself, Instinct says, gently ruffling my hair. My heart beats so fast I think it might leap out of my chest. Well, stay safe, Instinct says as he leaps onto a rooftop. Also, call the cops so that guy can be arrested. As Instincts jumps away, I'm left lost in thought. No, it couldn't work. I'll be a hero, and he's a vigilante. I shouldn't love him, but then why do I? I ask myself. Time skip. Izuku's point of view. Tell me everything you know about the League of Villains and the Yakuza, I demand from a random information broker I found. I don't know anything. I swear, the broker replies. Bullshit. After what those guys pulled during the UA field trip, there's no way you know nothing about them, I say, sensing his dishonesty. I tighten my grip on the broker's shirt, gritting my teeth. I raise my fist to intimidate him, but instead, my body instinctively dodges a fire javelin thrown at me. My grip on the broker loosens, and as he falls to the ground, he runs away in a panic. Diamant. I stop speaking upon seeing who stands before me. The man in front of me is the number 2 pro hero, Endeavor. What's wrong? I thought you were some great vigilante. Well, great isn't the word I would use to describe you. Some people see you as a hero, but all I see is a villain, Endeavor says. Shut up. I refuse to be called a villain by you of all people. Not after everything you've done, I retort angrily. Did I say something that struck a nerve, Vil? I don't let Endeavor finish. I punch him squarely in the face, sending him crashing into a nearby building. Endeavor retaliates by trying to blast me with fire. I charge at him, dodging his flames, and ram into him, pinning his arms to the ground with my legs. I then punch him again. You say you're a hero, right? Then explain to me why you've let people get hurt or die while fighting villains. I shout. I don't know what you're talking about, Endeavor replies. Don't lie to me. 10 years ago, there was a villain attack. The villain had some sort of monstrous form. During the battle, a woman named Inko Midoriya died. And you let her die? I shout, recalling every painful moment of that day. What are you talking about? I did everything I could to save all the people I could, Endeavor insists. The fact that he continues to lie fills me with rage. I punch him across the face again. Don't give me that. You faked a leg injury and let her die just so you could gain more popularity for defeating the villain. I yell, landing multiple punches on Endeavor. Once his face is bruised and bloodied, I remove my bandana, revealing my silver eyes. Look me in the eyes and tell me you're a hero. Tell me how you put people's lives before your own. Tell me how you didn't let her die. I scream, throwing another punch. However, I stop myself, realizing that with my anger and difficulty controlling my strength, this attack could be fatal. Right now, I want nothing more than to make you pay for all the people you let get hurt or die. However, if I kill you, I'd be no better than the villains I fight and no better than you. So I'm going to leave you here bloody, bruised, and beaten. Also, I don't think your hero gig will last much longer, I say, gesturing to the people recording the entire incident. I jump away, trying to calm myself down while reveling in how I just confronted someone I see as my mother's killer. 2 days later, sitting at a desk, the fire hero Endeavor is in front of a computer, searching for information on instincts. Ever since their encounter went viral, people have begun to question whether he is truly a hero. Endeavor stares at his computer screen, which displays the Midoriya family. Instincts had mentioned Inko Midoriya multiple times. However, no matter how much he looks, he can't find anyone who resembles Instincts. The closest he finds is Izuku Midoriya. However, there are a few problems. Instincts has pitch black hair and silver eyes, while Izuku is quirkless. As Endeavor sighs in frustration, he hears the door to his office open. He looks up to see one of his sidekicks. Mr. Endeavor, you've been called for another meeting. I can't let my hero identity be at risk just because of what some vigilante said. How are they going to take his word over mine? He's basically just a villain with morals, Endeavor says as he storms out of the room. Scene change. Izuku's point of view. After Endeavor's encounter with the vigilante Instincts, a large investigation has begun. However, the investigation isn't focused on who Instincts is. Instead, it centers on Endeavor himself. During the battle, Instincts claimed that the fire hero had allowed people to get hurt or even die to boost his popularity when he ultimately defeated the villains. Although this was said by a vigilante, it's a serious matter that requires thorough examination. Currently, Endeavor is on paid leave and is not permitted to engage in hero work until the investigation concludes. If he is found guilty, he could lose his hero status permanently and may even face legal consequences. Wow, I really did a number on Endeavor's public image. Well, he deserves it, I say while listening to the news on my TV. Well, it's about time I go out on patrol. Scene change in the city. I leap from rooftop to rooftop in search of a specific group of people. I've met them once before, and now I need their assistance again. I know I'm strong, but I can't do everything alone. To maximize the number of people I can save, I need help, and that's where the other vigilantes come in. From what I observed during our fight against that giant villain, all of you can hold your own in battle and understand when it's more important to save lives than to fight. That's why I need your help. Together, we could form a team that saves more people than any professional hero ever has. Found them off screen. Crawler. So we'd be like the Avengers? Izuku. What? No. Knuckle Duster. So like the Justice League? Izuku. No. Pop Step. The Fantastic Four? Izuku. No. We're not like any of those teams. If you need a comparison, think of us as the Defenders, okay? Crawler. Oh, okay. Knuckle Duster. Sure, Kit. We'll join your team. Pop Step. Wait, how would we keep in touch? Izuku. Simple. Here. Hands them small communicators. These will let us communicate with one another. Also, don't lose them. I'm not sure if I can make more. Crawler. Got it. I look forward to working with you. Izuku. As do I. I jump away and continue my patrol. Third person. Izuku continued his patrol until, while in the air, he was struck by a punch from a man with purple skin and red eyes, dressed in what Izuku could only describe as a trench coat with a belt. Acting quickly, Izuku redirected the man toward the rooftop below him. The man landed on his feet, seemingly unharmed. Izuku landed in front of him, his aura more intense than usual. "Who are you?" Izuku demanded, pointing at the man. "My name is Hit, and I've been contracted to eliminate you," the man replied. "Okay, you're straightforward. If I may ask, who wants me dead?" Izuku inquired. "I can't tell you that," Hit said, charging at Izuku. In an instant, Hit vanished mid-attack. Izuku swiftly turned and caught Hit's punch, pushing the assassin away. "This guy is fast. I can barely keep up. He's pushing my ultra instinct to its limits," Izuku thought to himself. Hit then approached Izuku in a strange, serpentine manner. As Hit moved, Izuku barely dodged his punches. "I need to get serious," he resolved. "Off this roof. Once I'm on the ground, I can use my energy blast more freely," Izuku thinks to himself as he jumps off the building. As he falls, his body aligns flat against the wall of the building. Suddenly, Hit appears right in front of him. Izuku delivers a powerful punch to Hit's chest with both hands. Hit crashes into the alleyway below. As he picks himself up, he notices a beam of energy approaching him. Hit retaliates by punching the air, sending his own attack toward the energy beam. The two attacks collide in the middle, resulting in a small explosion. Hit, using his time skip quirk, freezes time as he senses his opponent land. He knows that Izuku's body will instinctively dodge attacks, but if time remains frozen, Izuku won't be able to move. As Hit approaches the young boy, he feels an unfamiliar emotion: sorrow. Not for Izuku, but for the realization that he has found someone who can match him in battle, yet he is bound by a contract to eliminate him. He stops just a foot away from Izuku. "It's a pity that you must die, but a job is a job." He raises his fist, but pauses when he hears a sound that catches his attention. Looking down, his eyes widen in shock. The sound of shattering glass echoes through the alley as Izuku's body begins to move, even while Hit has frozen time. "What?" Hit exclaims. "So your quirk allows you to freeze time." Izuku shouts as he unleashes a flurry of punches to Hit's stomach and face, finishing with an uppercut that sends Hit soaring into the air. Izuku charges at Hit again, but Hit quickly recovers and blocks Izuku's attacks. They exchange blows, neither landing a hit due to their quick reflexes. Hit attempts to freeze time once more while advancing on Izuku, but Izuku only remains frozen for a split second before regaining his movement. "How?" Hit asks, just before Izuku lands a punch to his gut, sending him crashing into a nearby building. Acting swiftly, Izuku rushes Hit and pins him to the ground, holding a charged orb of energy aimed at Hit's face. "Go on, kill me. I've lost anyway," Hit says, resigned to defeat. "Kill you? Are you crazy? This has been the best fight I've ever had, and even if I could, killing you would be a waste," Izuku replies, stepping off Hit's stomach and offering him a hand up. Hit, surprised by this gesture, accepts Izuku's hand. Once their hands separate, Hit feels something in his palm. Opening it, he discovers a small communicator. "What's this?" he asks. "Well, I'm forming a team of vigilantes, and I think you'd make a perfect member," Izuku explains. "So, do you accept?" Hit contemplates for a moment. "You showed me that my quirk still has room to grow, and you spared my life when you had every right to end it. So yes, I'll join your team and even cancel the contract I have on you," he agrees. "Oh, speaking of that, since we're on the same team now, can you tell me who hired you to kill me?" "It was the League of Villains," Hit bluntly replies. "What a shocker," Izuku says, noticing Hit beginning to walk away. "Wait, before you go, don't accept any contracts that involve killing vigilantes named the Crawler, Knuckle Duster, or Popstep. They're also on our team, and try not to harm any good guys." "Understood," Hit responds, a hint of despair in his voice. "Okay, tell me again. Why are we getting help from a street gang?" Crawler asks Instincts. "Simple. Even with Hit on our side, we're still just 5 people trying to protect an entire city," Izuku explains. Allying ourselves with this gang can give us eyes, ears, and manpower in multiple places at once. Got it? Just one more question. Why did you bring me? Crawler asks, raising his voice. You need more experience facing danger, so that's why I brought you, Izuku explains. The Crawler gulps at this. Sensing his teammates' discomfort, Izuku adds, Don't worry, you won't have to fight. If anything happens, just leave it to me. This reassured Crawler a little, so mission accomplished. Small time skip. The two vigilantes stand in front of a warehouse, where voices can be heard from inside. Izuku grabs the handle and pulls the door open. The talking stops as everyone inside stares at Izuku and Crawler, frozen in silence. The warehouse is filled with muscular men and women, all watching the two vigilantes as they walk through. They part to let Izuku and Crawler pass. When Izuku stops under a catwalk, he looks up to see a woman who appears slightly older than him, with black spiky hair and dark eyes. Once she notices Izuku staring, she stands up from her chair, placing a hand on her hip. Who the hell are you guys? She asks, her tone sharp. I'm Instincts, Izuku replies. And I'm the Crawler, Crawler adds. Well, what do you want? The girl asks. First, are you the leader of this gang? Izuku asks, his voice steady. Yes. The name's Caulifla. Now, back to my question, what do you weirdos want? Caulifla demands, her tone growing louder. We wish to ally ourselves with your gang, Izuku says, gesturing to Caulifla's crew. Why would I want to do that? Aren't you two heroes? Caulifla questions. No, we're not heroes. Far from it, actually. We're vigilantes, Izuku clarifies. Oh, well, in that case, no way. Why would I ally myself with a couple of vigilantes? Now show these fools to the door. Caulifla snaps her fingers, and her gang members start to approach Izuku and Crawler. You seem like a reasonable woman. How about we settle this with a challenge? Izuku suggests, unfazed by the gang members surrounding him. Oh, you've got my attention. What are your terms? Caulifla asks. A challenge between you and me. If I win, you and your gang ally with my team. If you win, I'll do whatever you want, Izuku explains. Okay, but you have to fight me and my partner. If we win, you have to reveal your identity to the world, Caulifla counters. Izuku nods in agreement, and Caulifla directs him to the back of the warehouse, where a makeshift battle arena awaits. Kale, come out here. We have a challenger. Caulifla calls out. As she shouts, a new girl emerges from the crowd. She has black hair and eyes similar to Caulifla's. She approaches her sister timidly. Sis, are we really going to fight a blind guy? The girl, now known as Kale, asks. I'm not blind. This BLNDFLD is see-through on my side. I wear it so I'm not affected by quirks that require eye contact. Two are sisters, Izuku explains. Well, kind of, Kale begins but is interrupted by Caulifla. That's not important. What is important is the challenge you're about to face, Caulifla says, pointing at Izuku. Izuku smirks and steps into the fighting arena. Before he enters, Crawler grabs his arm. Are you sure you want to do this? You know what happens if you lose, Crawler says, concern evident in his voice. I'll be fine. Just enjoy the show, Izuku assures him as he enters the arena and activates his ultra instincts. Nice aura. What do you think of ours? Caulifla asks as she and Kale begin to scream, their hair turning gold and surrounded by a golden aura. So that's your quirk? Izuku asks, a bit impressed. Part of it, Kale replies kindly. We call it super. It turns our hair gold and boosts all our stats to an incredible degree, Caulifla explains. Izuku remains silent. What's wrong? Did you wet yourself? Caulifla taunts. No, my pants are dry. I'm just trying to guess how long this will take. I'm going to say a maximum of 3 minutes, Izuku replies. This statement infuriates Caulifla. That's it. Come on, Kale, let's show this guy what we've got. Caulifla shouts. All right, sis, Kale responds. The two charge at Izuku, who meets their attack head-on. They throw punches, but Izuku leaps over them. Landing behind them, he executes a roundhouse kick aimed at the girls. Caulifla dodges, but Kale, being slightly slower, takes the hit and is sent flying back, kicking up dust as she skids across the ground. Izuku narrowly avoids a ball of red energy aimed at him. He looks to see Caulifla with her hand outstretched, an open palm directed at him. So that must be another part of your quirk or a whole new quirk entirely. Since you have it, I assume your sister has it too, Izuku notes. It's energy manipulation, Caulifla confirms. Izuku prepares to charge at Caulifla but halts when he sees Kale rushing toward him. She throws punch after punch, but Izuku skillfully dodges them all. Spotting an opening, he delivers a punch that connects with Kale's face, sending her flying back. As Izuku walked toward Kale, who was trying to pick herself up, a flurry of red orbs of energy was fired at him by Caulifla. Without even looking, Izuku's body instinctively dodged them. As the orbs continued to rain down, Izuku redirected one back, striking Caulifla and creating a small cloud of smoke. The barrage of red energy orbs ceased. When Izuku stood directly in front of Kale, she attempted to uppercut him, but he merely leaned back slightly to evade her attack. Undeterred, Kale, now standing, launched a green ball of energy at him. Izuku responded by shifting his head to the left just in time. Then, faster than anyone could see, Izuku delivered a punch straight to Kale's midsection, causing her to gasp at the impact. However, before he could follow up, he dodged a kick from Caulifla. As he jumped back, he noticed both girls charging up a beam attack. "Take this!" shouted both Kale and Caulifla as they unleashed their beam attacks at Izuku. As the attacks approached, Izuku smirked. "You know the funny thing is," he said, raising his open palm in front of himself. His aura formed a small blue energy ball. "I can do that too, but mine are better." He fired a blue beam of energy that overpowered both Kale's and Caulifla's attacks. The girls' beams were engulfed by Izuku's energy, which then struck them, sending both flying into a wall. As the dust settled, Kale and Caulifla were visible, their hair having returned to its natural black. They struggled to get up but found themselves unable to do so. Izuku walked over and stood over them. "You've lost. As we agreed, you'll ally yourselves with me and my team to help keep this city safe. I don't have many terms. I only ask that you refrain from any major illegal activities," Izuku stated. Caulifla's gritted teeth slowly transformed into a smile, followed by laughter. "Haha, I didn't think you'd be this strong, kid," she said, finally managing to stand. Izuku's ultra instincts faded as Caulifla put her arm around his shoulder. "Like we agreed, my whole gang will ally with you and your team. As for your terms, we don't really do anything that illegal. The only thing we do that's against the law is use our quirks in public," Caulifla added. "Now, someone get this man and his friend Crawler some juice," she called out. "It's Crawler," he whispered. As Izuku sat at the bar of the warehouse, he glanced to his left at both Kale and Caulifla. Kale appeared adorable while Caulifla was downing drinks as if they were water. "Catch," Izuku said, tossing two devices to the girls. They caught the devices and looked at him. "You both put up one heck of a fight. I want you two as members of my team," Izuku declared. "What the heck, I'll join your team," Caulifla replied. "I'd love to join your team," Kale added. Izuku smiled at both of them before returning to his drink. Meanwhile, Crawler was passed out, having had one too many drinks. He was quite the lightweight. Today was a good day. After a long investigation, Endeavor was found out and relieved of his hero duties. In simpler terms, he got fired. This was definitely one of the happiest days of Izuku's life. It felt so good knowing that he finally received the consequences he deserved. Along with that, Izuku discovered that the hero killer was being held in the prison area of Endeavor's facility, which was now being shut down. However, there was a problem. Thanks to an information broker in Caulifla's gang, he learned that the League of Villains was planning to assassinate him. Knowing this, Izuku set off to stop them. He didn't go alone. He took Knuckle Duster and Popstep with him. Knuckle Duster would handle the smaller threats while Izuku dealt with the heavy hitters. Popstep was there to rescue anyone who might be in danger. The only reason Crawler wasn't with them was that he was still recovering from his hangover. As the three of them jumped onto a rooftop overlooking a highway, Izuku turned to Popstep, who was using binoculars. "Can you see the van that Stain is in?" he asked. I see it in the distance, Popstep replied. Just asking, but why are we saving this murderer? Knuckle Duster questioned. Stain has good ambitions, but he executed them poorly. This world is full of heroes who only care about themselves, but killing them isn't the answer. If Stain truly wants to change the world, he should inspire the next generation of heroes through his actions. Going around killing people won't change anything, Izuku explained. Knuckle Duster nodded. I can see where you're coming from. Honestly, I can somewhat understand Stain's viewpoint. Stop talking. I can see the leader of the League of Villains, along with a guy with white and purple skin, and a man in a suit and mask, Popstep informed them. That's them, Izuku said. Alright, Knuckle Duster, you take out the guy with purple skin. Be careful, he shoots black fire from his hands. Got it, Knuckle Duster replied. I'll handle the other two. Popstep, get all the civilians to safety, Izuku ordered. You got it, Popstep affirmed. With the plan set, the three of them jumped to another rooftop to make their way to the van. Dabi shot flames at the van, causing it to topple onto its side. The three villains approached the vehicle. Shigaraki placed his hand on the back doors, causing them to disintegrate into dust. As the doors decayed, the three villains were met with Stain, who was picking himself up off the ground on his knees. Never thought I'd see the hero killer on his knees, one of them remarked. While you're down there, why don't you beg for mercy? Shigaraki chuckled. Stain sat up and glared at the villains. So you've come here to finish me off, I'm guessing? He asked the three of them. Yeah, how'd you guess? Shigaraki replied jokingly. I'd expect nothing less from scum, Stain shot back. If I'm scum, then what does that make a murderer like you? Shigaraki asked, reaching his hand towards Stain's face. But before he could make contact, Izuku grabbed Shigaraki's arm. Stain isn't innocent, but he's way better than any member of the League of Villains. You all just do what you do for no real reason, while Stain has a reason for why he kills. It doesn't make it right, but it's still better than you, Izuku said, unleashing a powerful punch into Shigaraki's stomach. Shigaraki flew out of the van, and the force of Izuku's punch sent Dabi and Mr. Compress tumbling out as well. Izuku stepped out of the van, glaring at the villains. Dabi picked himself up and attempted to attack Izuku with flames, but Knuckle Duster intercepted him with a punch to the side of his face. Dabi staggered back as Knuckle Duster continued his assault. Meanwhile, other people on the highway stopped and began to flee from their cars. Popstep rushed to help them reach safety. Izuku deftly dodged all of Shigaraki and Mr. Compress's attacks. When Mr. Compress tried to grab him, Izuku spun around, positioning himself back-to-back with the villain. He seized Mr. Compress's arm and flipped him to the ground. Turning to face Shigaraki, Izuku's intense glare made the villain pause, sensing the anger radiating from him. Izuku then leaped at Shigaraki, delivering a flurry of punches that pushed the villain back. He finished with a powerful strike to Shigaraki's face. Shigaraki's hand fell to the ground, and he frantically searched for the missing piece of his costume. As Izuku watched, Mr. Compress attempted to attack him from behind. With a swift motion, Izuku punched the masked villain with the back of his hand, sending him crashing into a building. Glancing over at Knuckle Duster, Izuku saw that he was gaining the upper hand against Dabi. He realized why. Dabi had been using his quirk throughout the fight. With Knuckle Duster's superior hand-to-hand combat skills, Dabi had no chance to unleash his flames. Finishing the fight, Knuckle Duster grabbed Dabi by the shirt and delivered a devastating headbutt to his face. Izuku winced at the sound of Dabi's nose breaking. Dabi fell to the ground, and as he did, Popstep landed in front of the two vigilantes. Guys, we need to leave, the cops are coming, Popstep warned. They both nodded. However, before leaving, Izuku rushed over to the van holding Stain. He looked at Stain, who stared back at him. Izuku then picked Stain up and threw the hero killer over his shoulder. As they exited the van, the vigilantes made their escape. Scene changed to a random rooftop, far from the attack area. Stain sat on the ground, leaning against a wall. Izuku stood in front of him. Knuckle Duster and Popstep had already left, leaving the two lawbreakers alone to talk. Why did you save me? Stain asked. Because you can still do good, Izuku replied. Stain looked at the boy, confused. He was about to ask Izuku to explain, but Izuku continued before he could speak. You have good ambitions, but your execution has been all wrong. I agree that the heroes of today are flawed, but killing them won't change anything. If you attack them, people will see you as just another villain, Izuku explained. Instead, you should inspire the next generation of heroes with acts of heroism. Show them that the heroes of today are flawed and what they should do if they want to become heroes. Izuku looked at the hero killer, who regarded the young boy with a slightly shocked expression. You know, for a kid who looks about 15, you speak more like a grown man, Stain remarked. My life forced me to mature quickly, Izuku said, pulling something from his pocket. What I hold in my hand is your chance at redemption for all the people you've hurt. I can't force you to take it, but just know if you go back to your old ways. Izuku paused for a moment. I will stop you, he said, glaring at the hero killer. Izuku placed the item on the ground before turning away. I have high hopes for you, Stain. The fact that you broke out of your straitjacket and didn't run away or attack me only strengthens my faith that you'll make the right choice. With that, Izuku jumped off the rooftop and disappeared into the distance. Stain stood up, the straitjacket falling away from him. He watched as Izuku faded into the horizon, the boy's words echoing in his mind. This kid. He's pretty good. He knows what this world needs and how to achieve it, Stain thought. He's right, my way of doing things is flawed. He walked over to where Izuku had left his token of redemption. Looking down, Stain saw that the object was a small communicator. He picked it up and pocketed it. Well, kid, I'll take you up on your offer of redemption, Stain said, gazing in the direction Izuku had gone. Chapter end. Izuku sat at a small restaurant stand, waiting for his order. Sure, he had food at home, but after a long day of fighting villains and a few heroes who wanted to bring him in, he was exhausted and didn't feel like cooking. When his order arrived, the owner of the stand looked at him. Long day? The man asked. Yeah, Izuku replied, rubbing his. Well, here's your order, 1 bowl of katsudon, the man said, handing it to him. Thanks, Izuku said as he dug in. This really hits the spot. Even though katsudon is my favorite food, I've never been able to make it, he thought to himself. As Izuku ate, the owner struck up a conversation. Have you heard about this League of Villains? The man asked. Who hasn't? They've attacked UA 3 times, once at the USJ, another time at the UA Sports Festival, and the latest was during some sort of field trip, Izuku replied. The group has guts, I'll give them that, the man says. Thank goodness for the hero who stopped them. You talking about All Might? Izuku asks. Hell no. I'm talking about instincts. All Might didn't even move during the sports festival, the man continues. Don't get me wrong, All Might is great and has more than earned his spot as the symbol of peace and the #1 hero, but Instincts has been doing more lately. He saved multiple people during the sports festival, has been taking care of small-time crimes that big-time heroes ignore, stopped that big monster guy with 3 other vigilantes, and there are rumors going around that he saved the kids at the USJ, not All Might. You sure know a lot about Instincts, Izuku says with a smile, pleased that the public sees him as a hero. Yeah, he's awesome. A hero for the people, not afraid to bend the rules if it means helping the greater good. Izuku smiles. After about 30 minutes of talking to the man, he begins his walk home. As he walks, Izuku hears an explosion nearby. And here I was thinking it was going to be a quiet night. Izuku yells into the air, feeling tired. He runs into an alleyway and opens his button-up shirt, revealing his hero suit. Izuku then takes his BLNDFLD out of his pocket and puts it on. Jumping onto a building, he can see exactly where the explosion came from and makes his way there. At the sight of the explosion, United States of Smash shouts All Might as he delivers a powerful uppercut to All for One. All for One is sent flying into the air and crashes down, creating a small crater upon landing. All Might falls to the ground, coughing. As he looks down, he hears a voice. Your punches have gotten weaker, All Might, All for One says, picking himself up from the crater. Back in your younger years, you could defeat me, but not anymore. Now I'll strike you down. He raises his spiked arm threateningly. All Might closes his eyes, bracing for impact, but instead hears the sound of wind. Opening his eyes, he sees a blue and purple aura as All for One is sent crashing into a building. All Might, what happened to you? You look like you need a snack, Izuku says with a cheeky tone. He hears rubble shifting and looks back to see All for One getting back on his feet. So you're the instincts Shigaraki told me about, All for One says. I've only seen your quirk in videos. I can't wait to take it from you. Well, I'm afraid you're in for some major disappointment, Izuku replies before charging at him. All for One attempts to punch Izuku, but he leaps above the attack. Izuku then delivers a knee to All for One's face. As All for One stumbles back, Izuku unleashes a flurry of punches to his stomach. As the fight continues, a helicopter flies overhead. This is CNN. We're currently flying over a battle between heroes and villains. As you can see, it seems All Might has been defeated or affected by the villain's quirk. However, taking his place in the battle is the Vigilante instincts, the news reporter says. The camera zooms in on the fight between Izuku and All for One. Izuku dodges the attacks, but All for One continues to press forward, determined to land a hit. People watch from their TVs in awe. At a warehouse. Sis. Instincts is on TV, and he's fighting someone who beat All Might. Kale shouts while running over to Caulifla. Really now? That sounds like one incredible match to watch. Mind if I join you? Caulifla asks. Not at all, sis. Kale replies, leading her to the TV. With the other 3 vigilantes. Wow. Instincts is really going at it. What do you think, Master? Crawler asks. Even with his impressive quirk, he's not letting his guard down. This kid is amazing, Knuckle Duster says. He's so fast, Popstep adds. Crowd watching from a TV store. If you were able to defeat my time skip, you can defeat him easily, Hit says while watching the fight. In a rundown, dimly lit apartment room. A man sits at a desk with a small computer. He's watching the fight. Stick it to him, Instincts, Stain says. A normal apartment. Everyone, the kid who saved us is on TV, shouts a man in his mid-30s. Really? Screams a small boy in excitement, the same boy Izuku saved earlier. Everyone in the apartment is among those Izuku saved. He's so cool, the boy squeals. With Class 1A, who got dorms before the All for One fight. Everyone, the Vigilante from the sports festival is on TV. Ida shouts. You mean Instincts? Tsuyu asks, excitement in her voice. Yes. He's protecting All Might from a villain right now. Ida informs his classmates. Move, Four Eyes. I want to watch this. Bakugo shouts, pushing Ida aside. Class 1A gathers in the living room to watch the fight on TV. As they watch, most of the girls blush, thinking Instincts is quite impressive. The boys watch in amazement at his skills. Bakugo tries to figure out why he feels like he knows Instincts, while one boy stands in the corner of the room. After watching for a minute, the boy leaves the living room and returns to his own room to meditate. Back with Izuku. Izuku punches All for One into the crater that he and All Might created. After landing, Izuku charges at All for One, ready to end the fight. Your quirk lets you dodge attacks, but what if the attack is unavoidable? All for One taunts. With that, a massive explosion erupts from his body, engulfing the entire crater as it approaches Izuku. He mutters 2 words. Oh no! Izuku is engulfed by the explosion. From Izuku's perspective, my eyes open and I bolt upright. I begin to feel around my body. I remember being caught in an explosion, but I'm still in one piece. Sure, my shirt is gone and my BLDFLD, but I'd rather be missing those than an arm or leg. After making sure I have all my limbs, I look around. I see nothing but white as far as the eye can see. Standing up, I ponder where I am. Have I actually died? I ask myself. Not exactly, says a familiar voice. My eyes begin to tear up. I quickly turn around and jump into my mother's arms, embracing her tightly. I've missed you, Mom, I cry, feeling the warmth of her presence. I've missed you too, son, my mother replies, returning my hug. Once my tears begin to subside, I look up at her face. Wait, how am I not dead? You're dead, so wouldn't I need to be dead to see you? I ask, confusion washing over me. It's your quirk. It prevents you from dying. Right now, you're in a realm between life and death, my mother explains, gently brushing my cheek. Mom, my quirk is ultra instincts? I say, still puzzled. No, Izuku. Your quirk keeps you alive as long as your will is strong enough. You inherited your ultra instincts from your father, Inko clarifies. Wait, I thought my dad's quirk was to breathe fire? I ask, even more confused. No, Izuku. Your father is special. I always called him an angel, and little did I know I was right. As my mother continues to explain, my confusion deepens. She must have noticed my bewildered expression as she elaborates on who my father is. Not an angel in the biblical sense. I don't know much about it myself, but I know he's not exactly from this world. Wait, so I'm part alien? I exclaim, completely shocked. To an extent, my mother laughs lightly. However, Izuku, I didn't come here to talk about your father. A look of concern crosses her face. I came here to talk about you. To talk about me? I ask, intrigued. Izuku, ever since my death, you've done nothing but blame yourself. You were only 5, there was nothing you could do, my mother tells me gently. But I start to protest, but she pulls me into another hug. Stop blaming yourself, dear. Even though I died, I never stopped loving you. Remember that. Tears flow down my cheeks as I embrace her once more. However, as we hug, I suddenly recall my battle with All for One. Wait, I was doing something before. I was fighting a villain named All for One. I need to get back and stop him before he hurts anyone. I shout, urgency rising within me. You're in luck, Izuku. Time moves slower here. It's only been a few seconds in the living world, my mother reassures me. But are you sure you want to go back? I wish I could stay here with you, Mom. I really do, but I made a promise to myself. I promised I would never let what happened to you happen to anyone else. I declare, determination filling my voice as I begin to stand. That's my son. Now go and fulfill that promise, my mother encourages. I give her a thumbs up, and my body begins to glow and fade. Mom, I love you. I shout before disappearing. Inko watches as her son fades away. I love you too, baby, she calls out, left alone in the realm. If only you could see your son now, Whis. You'd be so proud of him. Back in the realm of the living, everything is quiet. No one can believe what has just happened. No way, Kale stutters. Be bullshit, he can't be dead, Caulifla adds, disbelief etched on her face. Crawler, Popstep, and Knuckles sit around the table in shock. Impossible, Hit mutters. I can't believe it, Stain remarks. Ha. It's unfortunate that I couldn't take the boy's quirk, but at least that thorn in the League's side is gone. All for One laughs as he walks out of the crater toward All Might. In the apartment with the people Izuku saved, an old man asks, is he really gone? No, says a small boy. But there's nothing left of him, a woman protests. He's not gone, the boy insists. Can't you feel it? Here he comes. As he says this, something begins to happen. Back at the crater where Izuku once was, the ground starts to shake and rocks float into the air. What's this? All for One questions, bewildered. Suddenly, a massive beam of white light shoots into the sky from the center of the crater, creating powerful gusts of wind. Everyone stares at the light, and soon they can make out a figure emerging from it. It's that demon nerd, Bakugo grits through his teeth. As Izuku walks out of the crater, his appearance has changed. His green highlights are now silver, and his aura has shifted from purple and blue to red and blue. How are you? All for One begins, but he doesn't finish as Izuku appears behind him, kicking him away from All Might. In an instant, Izuku reappears in front of All for One, who is now flying through the air. Izuku kicks him higher, then ascends into the sky with a ball of blue energy in his hands. As All for One approaches, Izuku fires the beam at him, sending him crashing toward the ground. When All for One hits the ground, he bounces slightly. Izuku appears above him and delivers a powerful punch to All for One's stomach. The The force of the punch shatters glass within a 3-block radius. Izuku stares at All for One, who is now unconscious and embedded in the ground. Izuku looks at his hand, reflecting, I just barely avoided killing him. Chapter end. From All Might's perspective, I stood there, watching the boy who had effortlessly defeated All for One, an enemy who had taken all my power to defeat. This kid had beaten him in seconds. I noticed the boy looking at his hand, and as I examined his face, I realized something. This boy was the same one I had once told couldn't be a hero. Though his hair and eyes were different, there was no doubt in my mind that this was the same boy. I heard sirens in the distance and turned to see multiple police cars approaching. As the officers exited their vehicles, some aimed their guns at the boy. One officer stepped forward with a bullhorn and spoke. Instincts, for unlicensed usage of your quirk, you are hereby under arrest. The officer didn't finish, as the boy vanished in the blink of an eye. From Izuku's point of view, I was a block away from where I had fought the villain, watching as heroes and officers scrambled, trying to figure out where I had gone. I sighed, realizing my identity was now known to the heroes. Yar days. My life is going to be such a pain now, I muttered as I began my walk back home. As I entered my apartment, I began to pack my bags. I knew this was the first place the police would search, so I couldn't stay. I only packed the essentials, some clothes and a photo of my mom. Once I finished, I left my apartment, placing the key under the mat in case the landlord decided to resell my room. I then jumped away, using the rooftops to navigate the city. In a warehouse, Kale and Caulifla were chatting at the bar. Wasn't Instincts incredible, sis? Kale asked, a slight blush on her cheeks. He definitely was, but we wouldn't ally ourselves with someone weak, Caulifla replied. Talked, a knock echoed through the warehouse. Who could that be? Caulifla wondered. I'll check, Kale said, running to the door. She opened it slightly and gasped upon seeing who stood there. The boy at the door was unmistakable, thanks to the highlights in his hair. Hey there, Kale. Is it okay if I come in? Izuku asked. Why, yeah, Kale stammered, opening the door wider for the silver-eyed Vigilante. Thank you, Kale, Izuku said as he stepped inside. The other gang members turned to look at him, intrigued by the young Vigilante who had just taken down All for One, a villain even All Might struggled against. Well, if it isn't the man of the hour. What brings you here? Did you come to party? Caulifla teased. As fun as that sounds, I really need to rest. After that fight, I'm exhausted, Izuku replied, yawning. Then why are you here? This isn't a hotel, and I assume you have your own place, Caulifla said. Had a place is more accurate, Izuku corrected. Had? Kale questioned. Yeah. Everyone in Japan saw that fight. I didn't get close to many people when I wasn't Instincts, but the few I am close to will definitely figure out my identity. One of them, who has a bit of a grudge against me and is trying to become a hero, will probably tell the cops where I used to live, Izuku explained. So, I was wondering if I could stay here. If you don't have room, I understand. Before he could finish, Caulifla slapped him on the back. We have plenty of room, Yujure, she laughed. Kale, show Instincts to his room. Wait, before that, I need to tell you something, Izuku said. During my fight with All for One, my identity was revealed. It helped me realize that I can't keep who I really am and Instincts separate. From now on, they are one and the same. I am no longer just Instincts. I am Izuku Midoriya. Wow, that was boring, Caulifla sighed. I thought it was meaningful and inspiring, Kale said, blushing. Thank you, Kale and Caulifla. That speech sounded way better in my head, Izuku chuckled. Either way, Kale, show the man to his room, Caulifla said, heading toward the bar. You got it, sis, Kale replied, leading Izuku away. As they walked, Kale felt a rush of warmth on her cheeks. She had never seen Izuku's full face before, and now she could appreciate his adorable freckles and handsome silver eyes. How can someone be so adorable? And hot at the same time? Kale thought, her heart racing. Noticing her staring, Izuku asked, Kale, are you okay? Your face is turning red. I'm fine. Izuku, she replied shyly, stopping in front of an empty room with a single bed and a window. Here is your room, Izuku. Thank you, Kale. I'm going to get some rest. Good night, Izuku said sweetly, his smile brightening the room. Gee, good night, Kale shouted, clutching her chest as she hurried away. Izuku smiled to himself. I'm not that oblivious. She's definitely interested in me. But how do I choose between her and her sister? Why must life present me with such difficult choices? He pondered. Kale dashed back into the main area of the warehouse. My heart is racing, and why does it feel so tight? She wondered. Someone's in love, Caulifla teased with a sly grin. What? Kale exclaimed. The next morning, Izuku stared at his reflection in the window of his room. What the heck? He shouted. They're still here. Am I stuck like this? He asked, touching the silver in his hair and rubbing his eyes, but the color remained. This was troubling. It had been a full night, and his body hadn't returned to normal. While his aura had vanished, the silver eyes and highlights stayed. With a sigh, Izuku walked out of his room and into the common area of the hideout. As he entered, he felt something poking at his bare chest. Looking down, he saw Caulifla curiously prodding his abs. Wow, I didn't expect you to be this ripped, she remarked, her fingers brushing against his toned chest. You could grind diamonds on these. Sis, please stop, Kale said, her face bright red. Yes, please stop, Caulifla. I'm not in the best of moods, Izuku said with a sigh. Why is that? Kale asked. Izuku sighed again and looked at the two girls. You may have noticed that my hair and eyes haven't returned to normal yet, he explained, pointing at his face. Yeah, you're right, Kale acknowledged. What's up with that? Trying out a new look? Caulifla asked. This comment made Izuku smirk and chuckle. Well, despite pulling this off rather well, the answer is no. For some reason, these changes aren't disappearing like past changes have when I've used my ability, he explained. You can't walk the streets like normal since everyone knows what you look like, Kale says, worry evident in her voice. Bingo, and that's going to be a massive hassle, Izuku sighs. Everyone falls silent for a moment. Caulifla, with her hand on her chin, suddenly snaps her fingers. I have an idea, she exclaims, running off and returning with an old hoodie. This used to belong to one of our gang members. If you wear this, it should hide your hair, she cheers. Izuku takes the hoodie and puts it on over his clothes, concealing his hair. This could work. If no one sees my hair, it should be fine. But wait, my face is still exposed, Izuku mutters to himself. Izuku, here, Kale says, bowing slightly as she hands him a pair of sunglasses. These should hide your eyes, she adds shyly. Izuku puts on the sunglasses, and as his hand brushes against Kale's, she blushes. Looking at her, Izuku says, Thanks, Kale. If anyone needs me, I'm going for a quick walk. He heads out of the warehouse. As the door closes, Kale drops to her knees. He touched my hand, she whispers to herself. Is that all it takes to make you love-struck? Caulifla teases. Scene change. On the streets. Izuku walks through the streets, drawing only a few curious glances due to his attire. As he strolls, he overhears people talking about him, not him specifically, but about Instincts and the fight he had with All for One the previous night. Wow, that Instincts guy was pretty cool, wasn't he? Yeah, he was amazing. He took down a villain that even All Might had trouble with, like it was nothing. He's definitely my favorite hero. All this positivity brings a smile to Izuku's face. I never thought I'd be this popular. I thought I'd just be another run-of-the-mill vigilante, but no. Most people like me and support me, he thinks as he turns a corner. As Izuku continues walking, someone bumps into him, knocking his sunglasses off. He looks down to see a little girl with a horn. Hey there, little one. Where are your parents? Izuku asks, kneeling to meet her gaze. Upon closer inspection, he sees nothing but fear on her face. What has her so scared? He wonders, but his question is soon answered by the sound of footsteps approaching from the direction the girl came. The girl runs behind Izuku, gripping his pant legs tightly as if her life depends on it. Now look what you've done, Eri. You've inconvenienced this boy, A man wearing a plague doctor mask says as he steps out of the shadowy alley. Now come back here, Eri, the man continues. Eri's grip loosens, but Izuku places his hand in front of her, preventing her from moving forward. She looks up at him, her eyes wide. Sorry, sir, but what's your relationship with this girl? She ran to me like she was scared for her life, Izuku says, his tone serious as he glares at the man. I'm her father. I just finished scolding her, the man replies casually. Forgive me, but I can't take the word of a man wearing a plague doctor mask and emerging from a dark alleyway, Izuku responds, his expression unwavering. Please show me some proof. I see, the man says, removing one of his gloves and placing it against the wall to his left. In an instant, Izuku spins around and picks up Eri, darting to the left just as a spike erupts from the ground where he was standing. More spikes appear, but Izuku leaps and dodges them all while protecting Eri. As he moves, the wind from the spikes blows his hood off, revealing his identity to the crowd. Izuku stands tall, placing Eri on the ground. Get out of here. I'll handle your so-called father, he tells her, turning to face the man. Eri gulps before running away. The man, noticing Eri's absence, grows angry. Now I'll have to eliminate you, he says, stepping fully into the light. You won't be harming anyone, and I'm going to make you pay for what you've done to that girl, Izuku declares, glaring at the man. Izuku dodges the spikes that erupt from the ground due to Overhaul's quirk. You're impressive. No wonder the news won't stop talking about you, Overhaul remarks, continuing to launch spikes at Izuku. Trust me, I don't particularly enjoy the spotlight either, Izuku replies, sending a blast of energy into the ground that creates a thick cloud of dust. Overhaul sends dozens of spikes into the dust, but as the cloud clears, Izuku is nowhere to be seen. Above you! Izuku shouts as he kicks Overhaul on the head. As Overhaul lands, 3 spikes shoot up from the ground, launching toward Izuku. He quickly moves back, dodging all 3. Before Overhaul can attack again, Izuku charges at him. However, a red ball of energy flies toward him. Jumping back, Izuku turns to see who sent it. To his left stands a blonde with 1 million on his hero suit and a boy with silver hair in a red and black suit. Stop right there, instincts, the boy commands. After a moment, Izuku recognizes him as a student from class 1A. I don't have time for this, Izuku says, attempting to charge Overhaul again. But the UA student appears in front of him, throwing a punch. He's fast, Izuku thinks as he moves to the left to dodge, but the kid's fist grazes his cheek. Izuku touches his cheek. My body dodged it, but he still managed to graze me. I should have anticipated that someone with enough speed could do that. Still, he's the only one to touch me in battle, he reflects, eyeing Overhaul and the blonde. It would be a bad idea to fight all 3 at once. I'll fall back for now, Izuku says as he throws an energy ball to the ground, creating a smoke screen to escape. As he leaves, he glances back to see the UA student glaring at him. Scene change. Meeting room of Izuku's Vigilante team. Crawler, Knuckle Duster, Popstep, Stain Hit, Kale, and Caulifla sit at the table, each engaged in their own activities. Stain is polishing his blades. Have you had this room on standby? Crawler asks. More or less, Caulifla replies. Just then, Izuku walks in, now in his full instincts costume. Thank you all for coming to this emergency meeting, Izuku says as he takes his seat. What's it about? It asks, arms crossed. I assume you're all aware of the drag trigger, correct? Izuku inquires. Of course. It's a drag that enhances a person's quirk, Knuckle Duster explains to the group. I've banned it from my gang. Anyone who uses it is out, Caulifla adds. Well, during my walk, I met the man who makes it, Izuku reveals. How do you know it was the right guy? Crawler asks. Thanks to this little cutie, Izuku says, glancing behind his chair. Behind the chair is Eri, looking nervous and wide-eyed. Izuku gently picks her up and places her on his lap. Okay, Eri, just tell them what you told me, Izuku encourages, but Eri remains quiet, staring at her legs. Eri, we're the good guys. We want to stop that man who pretended to be your father, but you need to share what you told me so we can help, Izuku says in a sweet and caring voice. With a gulp, Eri looks up at the vigilantes before speaking. That man, Overhaul, has been using me to make weapons that enhance or completely erase quirks, she tells the group. Erase a quirk? That can't be good, Stain remarks. Yeah, imagine if the League of Villains got their hands on that, or if this Overhaul guy started distributing it widely, Crawler says, looking at the table. That's why we're going to stop him. Eri told me where his base is, so we'll go there and create a distraction. The heroes won't act because the law is holding them back. By the time they do, it may be too late, Izuku declares. But we'll put it to a vote. If you're in favor, raise your hand, Izuku says, and everyone raises their hands. Okay, major rules. Get ready, we move out tomorrow, Izuku states as he stands up, picking up Eri before walking to the door. Also, we have 2 new members. Let me introduce Gentle and Labrava, Izuku says as he opens the door to reveal the 2 newcomers. Hello, I'm Gentle, the gentle criminal, or I guess now I should say the gentle vigilante, Gentle laughs. Hello, I'm Labrava. I'm a Class A hacker and I film all of Gentle's videos, Labrava explains. Oh yeah, I'm subscribed to you guys, Kale says. Really? You're our first subscriber. Thank you so much. Gentle and Labrava exclaim, expressing their gratitude to Kale. Izuku smiles before stepping out of the meeting room. Looking at Eri, he notices she has fallen asleep in his arms. Sitting on the couch, Izuku's mind wanders back to his fight against that one boy who grazed his cheek. With someone like that out there, things aren't going to be as easy as they usually are. But the thing about us vigilantes is that no matter how many times you knock us down, we always get back up, Izuku smirks, looking up at the ceiling of the warehouse.